It was a normal morning on Earth. People were going to work, kids were in schools, and the sky was clear. Everything felt peaceful, but that peace did not last. High above the clouds, far beyond the blue sky, something had entered Earth's orbit. The satellites picked up a strange reading. At first, scientists thought it was a glitch, a system error. But then the numbers kept growing. More ships, more signals, more shadows blocking the sunlight from space. Within 1 hour, the truth became clear. It was not just one alien ship. It was a fleet. A massive, terrifying fleet. 9,900 alien warships had arrived above Earth. They came in perfect formation, like a giant wall of metal covering the stars. People around the world looked up and saw the sky turn dark. The sun was still there, but the ships were so large, so many, they blocked the light. Some ships were bigger than whole cities. Others were small, fast, and ready to strike. They floated, in silence, watching Earth, waiting. Panic spread across the world. News channels everywhere broke into emergency mode. Every screen, every radio, every phone rang with the same message. Earth was under threat. Governments scrambled to respond. The United Nations called an emergency meeting. But there was nothing to discuss. Earth had no force strong enough to face this many ships. The total number of Earth's combat-ready spacecraft was less than 50. Most of them were old, slow, and made for research or transport, not war. The alien ships, on the other hand, looked deadly. Some glowed with strange red energy. Others carried weapons that no human had seen before. Just by looking at them, one could feel the danger. These were not explorers. These were not diplomats. These were warships. Then finally the aliens spoke. Every device on Earth received the same cold message. It was translated into every human language instantly. The message was short: surrender or be erased. No voice, no face, just the words hanging in the air like a dark cloud. The world stopped breathing. Some people cried, some prayed, some tried to run, but there was nowhere to go. The warships were in orbit. They could fire from space. They didn't even need to land. And yet, Earth said nothing. No reply came from world leaders. No surrender was offered. The skies remained silent. The warships waited. 1 hour passed, then 2, then 5. Still, no answer. The alien commanders grew impatient. They expected fear. They expected begging. But Earth stayed quiet. That silence made the aliens nervous. They had crushed many worlds before. All of them gave up quickly. No one ever stayed silent. What was Earth waiting for? In a secret room deep inside a mountain bunker, Earth's top, leaders and military minds sat together. They all knew the truth. Earth could not win this fight. Not with weapons, not with force. But one man, a quiet old scientist with white hair and tired eyes, whispered something that made everyone stop. "We may not be ready," he said, "but they don't know what's buried under Antarctica." Nobody spoke. The room went cold. In orbit, one of Earth's old black satellites, thought to be dead for decades, suddenly came to life. It turned slightly, pointed toward deep space, and sent out a pulse. It was not a message to the aliens. It was not a cry for help. It was a signal, one that had not been used in over 300 years. The alien ships did not notice. They were focused on Earth's cities, scanning for military targets. But that small signal had already gone, far beyond the solar system, beyond even the edge of the known galaxy. Meanwhile, down on the streets, people waited. Children asked questions their parents couldn't answer. Soldiers stood ready, even though they had nothing to fight with. The aliens charged their weapons. Bright lights gathered under their ships. Energy levels spiked. The attack was about to begin. But right before the first shot was fired, every ship in the alien fleet stopped moving. It was small at first. Just one ship, ship number 4432, froze mid-air. Its engines turned off, then another ship froze, and another. Within 10 seconds, more than 50 ships were dead in space. No explosions, no attack, just silence. The alien commanders shouted in panic, trying to understand. What's happening? Why are the systems freezing? Are we under attack? They scanned Earth again. Still nothing. Earth's defense systems had not launched anything. No missiles, no beams, no fighters. And yet, something was clearly happening. Then, something even stranger occurred. Every alien warship's screen turned black. A new message appeared. Not from Earth, not from any known source. Just 4 words, glowing red on every display. Do not touch. Earth. The alien commanders had no idea what to do. Who had sent the message? Was it a threat, a warning, or a promise? No one answered their questions. The warships that had frozen suddenly powered down completely, and before the aliens could respond, a strange reading appeared on their long-range sensors. Something massive was approaching the solar system, bigger than anything they had seen before. But it was not human, not alien, not anything from this galaxy. The galaxy was watching. Billions of eyes on a small blue planet. A world that should have surrendered, but didn't. Something was coming. Something ancient. And Earth was not alone. The warship stayed in Earth's orbit, still and cold, like a wall of death waiting to fall. From space, Earth looked weak and peaceful. The aliens could not understand why the humans were still silent. No counterattack, no message, not even a cry for help. Just silence. A silence so deep it made the alien commanders uncomfortable. One of them said, "This is not how weak species behave." Another one replied, "Maybe they don't know how close they are to death." But even they didn't believe that anymore. Something was wrong, and they could all feel it. The alien fleet had destroyed planets before. They had conquered species with far more weapons than Earth. Every time, their enemies either begged or fought. Earth did none of that. The silence from the humans was not fear. It was something else. Something the aliens could not name. Some commanders suggested firing a warning shot. "Burn a city," one said. "Make them talk." But their leader refused. "Not yet. We wait. Something is coming. I can feel it." Across the galaxy, millions of species watched the standoff. From trade stations to military outposts, everyone had their eyes on Earth. Live broadcasts translated the alien threat and Earth's silence. The Galactic News Hub called it the last stand of the primitives. Many expected Earth to fall. Others were not so sure anymore. Whispers spread. Stories of Earth's strange past, of how humans survived impossible odds before. Some species even sent secret messages of support, but no one dared step in. No one wanted to stand between 9,900 warships and whatever Earth was, hiding. Inside Earth's deep command bunkers, silence was not fear, it was planning. The signal had been sent. Project Lazarus was now active. The people in the control room didn't fully understand what they were working with. Only a few high-level scientists knew the truth. Buried deep under Antarctica, behind layers of ice and old rock, was something not made by humans. It had been discovered almost 100 years ago, but never fully studied. A black structure, smooth like glass, but hard like nothing on Earth. It hummed without power. It was cold without ice. And at its center was a chamber labeled "Do Not Open." But now, that chamber was opening. Scientists stood in shock as lights appeared on the walls of the underground vault. Symbols glowed, symbols not of human language, but something older, something alien. No one knew how to read them, yet somehow, everyone understood the message. Time has come. We return. A gate began to form. Not like a machine, but like a wound in space itself. A ripple, a tear. Energy readings went wild. Earth's computers failed to measure what was happening. It was as if reality itself was changing. In orbit, the alien commanders noticed the energy spike. "Something's powering up on the surface," one shouted. "Launch scan drones." But as soon as the drones got close to Antarctica, they vanished. No explosion, no damage, just gone, like they were never there. The aliens tried again, same result. The area became a dead zone for sensors. One commander growled in frustration. "This is a trick, a bluff." Another whispered, "Then why do I feel afraid?" Back on Earth, people could feel the change, even if they didn't know what was happening. The air felt heavy. The ground pulsed gently under their feet. Some people had dreams of stars and fire. Some children pointed at the sky and said, "They're coming back." But no one knew who they were. Then, the first global blackout happened. All lights went out across the planet for exactly 1 minute. In that minute, the stars above Earth blinked, as if something moved between them. Power returned just as quickly, but everything had changed. The alien warships had lost contact with their outermost patrol ships. Ship 9899, gone. Then 9898, gone too. No explosion, no signal, just erased. The alien leader stood on his command bridge, staring at Earth. "This is impossible," he muttered. "They can't do this." A younger officer trembled and asked, "Should we attack now?" The commander shook his head. "No, not yet. I want to know what's waking up down there." Far below, in Antarctica, the gate opened fully. From the black hole of space came a sound, soft at first, like music, then louder, like a heartbeat, then a voice, not spoken but felt. It echoed in the minds of everyone near the site. "Who threatens the seed world?" The scientists fell to their knees. Some cried, some screamed. The voice was not angry. It was ancient, powerful, and it was not human. A figure stepped through the gate. It was tall, glowing with soft white light, covered in armor that looked like it was made from stars. Its face was hidden. Its steps left no footprints. Behind it, shadows moved, more figures, more beings, walking slowly into Earth's world. These were not saviors. They were something else. Guardians, judges. No one knew. The alien fleet panicked. Their computers couldn't lock onto the new arrivals. Their weapons could not target them. The strange beings didn't fly or run. They just appeared. One moment not there, and then suddenly everywhere. Ship 9897 lost power. Ship 9896 began to spin out of control. The fleet formation broke. One commander shouted, "Retreat!" But it was too late. The galaxy held its breath. The silence from Earth was over, but what had replaced it was far worse. The alien fleet was falling into chaos. Moments ago, they stood proud in Earth's orbit, 9,900 warships strong, unbeatable, unstoppable. Now, ships were disappearing without warning. One by one, lights across their fleet began to vanish, like candles blown out in a storm. Alien commanders shouted orders, but their voices were filled with fear. They did not understand what they were facing. This was not war. This was something else, something older, something far more dangerous. On Earth, the strange beings continued stepping through the gate beneath Antarctica. Their armor shimmered with starlight. Their bodies were made of light and metal. Their eyes, if they had any, glowed like distant galaxies. They did not speak. They didn't need to. Their very presence sent messages into the minds of those nearby. Messages of warning, of justice, of memory. The old scientist who had triggered the gate stood frozen in place. He whispered to himself, "They came back, just like the prophecy said." Behind him, a soldier asked, "What are they?" The scientist replied, "They were here before us, long before humans walked this Earth. We didn't build Earth's defenses, we just found them." Across the planet, strange things began to happen. Old structures, long thought to be ruins, suddenly lit up. Deep in the oceans, under the sands of deserts, inside caves in forgotten forests, massive machines came online. Some floated into the sky, some buried themselves deeper into the earth, but all of them sent the same signal. The seed world is under threat. Protocol: protect. In orbit, alien scanners picked up thousands of energy spikes rising from Earth. They couldn't explain them, couldn't predict them. The fleet's main AI warned, unknown technology is spreading across the planet. Danger level, beyond calculation. One captain yelled, "They were supposed to be primitive." Another shouted, "This is a trap. We've been tricked." Ship 9895 vanished. Then 9894 exploded without any visible attack. The fleet tried to reposition, but their engines lagged. Their systems slowed down. Something was infecting their networks, not a virus, not code. Something more advanced, something alive. It moved through data like a shark through water, turning the aliens' own systems against them. Then the message returned. It appeared again on every alien screen. 4 words, same as before. Do not touch Earth. But this time, there was a 5th word. Again. The alien fleet's high commander felt fear for the first time in centuries. He turned to his second-in-command and asked, "What do you think that word means?" The reply was quiet. Maybe this isn't the first time someone tried to invade Earth. Suddenly, space tore open above the planet. A shape larger than anything they had ever seen stepped through. It was not a ship. It was not a being. It was both, and neither. A moving fortress of glowing light and endless depth. It had no engines. It had no weapons that could be seen, but its presence made every alien sensor scream. Their systems labeled it, "Unknown entity, escape advised." The aliens tried to fire. Lasers, plasma, torpedoes, all weapons launched at the strange shape. But none hit. The shots simply bent away, as if space itself refused to let the weapons touch the entity. Then came the voice. This time, it spoke directly into the minds of the alien leaders. It did not shout. It did not threaten. It simply asked, "Why do you return when last time you were warned?" The high commander fell to his knees. He felt his memories being searched. Long ago, hidden in ancient history, there were stories, old warnings, tales of a world that must never be touched, a seed world, a planet under ancient protection. But those stories were dismissed as myths, lies told by the weak. Now, he knew they were true. The alien fleet tried to retreat. Engines powered up, jump drives activated. But space bent around them. Their paths were blocked, not by weapons but by will, a will far stronger than theirs. Ships began to disappear again, this time in groups, no debris, no signals. Just gone. Back. On Earth, people still watched the sky. Cities had gone quiet. Everyone stared upward, waiting. No one knew who the glowing beings were. But one thing was clear. They were fighting for Earth. A little girl in Japan pointed at the sky and said, "The sky people are making the bad ones go away." Her mother nodded, eyes full of tears. In the alien flagship, the High Commander made a final call to the rest of the fleet. "Fall back. Leave this system. This world is not what we thought." But only a few ships remained to hear him. The rest had already vanished, wiped from reality. And then, for the first time, the humans received a message. Not through radios, not through satellites, but directly into every mind on Earth. A calm voice spoke, "This world is protected. You were never alone. Stay strong." The message lasted only a second, but it left a deep mark. Across Earth, people stood taller. Fear faded. Hope returned. Humanity now knew that something ancient had returned to their side. Something that watched from the shadows, waiting only for the right moment. The war was not over. The aliens still had power, still had weapons. But now the galaxy understood. Earth was not just a small blue planet at the edge of the stars. Earth was protected. The remaining alien warships drifted in silence. What was once a mighty fleet of 9,900 now stood with less than a few hundred. The commanders no longer shouted orders, they simply watched. Watched Earth, watched the strange figures rising from it, and watched the massive being floating in space, silent, glowing, and untouchable. The High Commander sat alone in his dark command room. He stared at old records, forgotten scrolls stored in the deepest parts of their history, warnings from ancient explorers carved in lost languages. All of them pointed to a single truth. There is one world you must never harm. It is the beginning, the root, the seed. That world was Earth. But why Earth? It didn't make sense. For thousands of years, the galaxy believed humans were weak. Their weapons were primitive. Their ships were slow. Their technology was behind by centuries. Yet now they stood protected by something so powerful that even reality itself bent around it. The High Commander whispered, "What are the humans hiding?" On Earth, inside a mountain bunker hidden from the world, a small group of human leaders gathered. Scientists, generals, and one old man in a wheelchair named Dr. Kane. He was the first to discover the object buried in Antarctica decades ago. Back then, no one believed him when he said it wasn't from Earth. Now they were all listening. Dr. Kane coughed and spoke slowly. Earth is not just a home. It's a vault, a seed vault, not for plants but for power. Long ago, before humans, before the known galaxy, something, planted it here. Something beyond time. A general asked, "Are those glowing beings aliens?" Dr. Kane shook his head. "They're not aliens. They're wardens, guardians, not here to invade, not even here to save us. They're here because Earth woke up, because someone dared to touch what should never be touched." Outside the bunker, strange things continued. In the Amazon rainforest, trees hundreds of years old began to grow taller, glowing faintly in the night. In the Sahara Desert, sandstorms moved in patterns, perfect circles that revealed ancient machines below. In the Pacific Ocean, lights danced beneath the waves, and creatures never seen before swam alongside submarines, ignoring them completely. The planet was changing, or perhaps it was returning to what it once was. In the skies, the glowing figures finally moved. Slowly, they lifted off from Earth's surface. There were thousands of them now, surrounding the strange fortress in orbit. They said nothing. They gave no warnings, but the message was clear. Do not return. One of the remaining alien ships, a scout vessel, tried to scan the large floating entity above Earth. It wanted to understand it, wanted to learn. But the moment its sensors activated, the ship stopped, moving. Lights off. Engines dead. Time froze for that vessel. To those inside, everything outside stopped. Even their own thoughts slowed. Some of them saw things, visions of stars being born and dying, of planets rising and falling, of the first fire ever lit in the universe. Then, they were gone. The fleet now had no doubt. This was no human trick. This was real. Earth had power that broke logic, broke time, broke the laws of physics themselves. And yet, the humans had never used it, never called it, never even knew it was there. That was what frightened the aliens the most. Why didn't the humans use this power before? Why hide it? Back on Earth, young people began to feel strange dreams. Some drew symbols they had never seen before. Some heard soft music in their sleep. Some whispered strange names while they walked. Dr. Kane explained, "The planet is remembering, and it's choosing who remembers with it. In the stars, Other alien species began to panic. Messages flew across the galaxy. Earth is not what we thought. Do not attack the seed world. Protect your people. Do not interfere. But it was too late. One greedy empire, far from Earth, saw the chaos as a chance. They sent a second wave, a silent fleet, cloaked and fast, heading for Earth from the dark side of the sun. They thought they would catch Earth off guard, but the wardens were already waiting. As the enemy ships approached, their cloaks failed. Their engines overheated, their weapons melted. They never fired a shot. One by one they were pulled apart, not by force but by will. Something made of light and memory, something older than stars, erased them like dust from the wind. The galaxy now knew Earth could not be touched. But deep inside Earth, under old mountains and seas, something else stirred. Even the wardens looked toward it, a place not even they entered, a place locked by 10,000 seals. A voice began to echo from it, weak, distant, ancient. It whispered only two words: not yet. The galaxy had gone silent. Messages from thousands of star systems stopped. Fleets that once moved freely now waited in fear. Across space, governments and empires studied Earth like never before, but none dared move closer. What they had seen was enough. Earth was not just a planet anymore. It was a message, a warning, a puzzle too dangerous to solve. Yet on Earth, the people still lived normal lives, at least on the surface. Schools opened, cars moved, factories worked, but under the calm, something had changed. Everyone felt it, a sense of watching, of waiting, of awakening. Deep under the surface, far below the oldest rocks, something began to speak. It wasn't a voice in the air. It was a voice inside thoughts. It didn't use words, but feelings, images, dreams. And it didn't speak to everyone, only to a few: children, elders, people who had been near the glowing wardens. They saw the same thing: a door. A great round door covered in symbols. Behind it, darkness. But the darkness was alive. The wardens stood silently around the world. They did not move. They did not fight. They simply waited, as if they too were unsure what was coming next. In the hidden mountain bunker, Dr. Kane lay on a hospital bed. His eyes were closed, but his mind was more active than ever. He was dreaming again, dreaming of the past, of the first time he found the gate in Antarctica, of the strange pulse that shook his bones, and now of a voice calling him back, calling him below. He opened his eyes suddenly and whispered, "The locks are breaking." General Lena, one of Earth's top military leaders, looked at him. "What locks? What's behind them?" Kane didn't answer for a moment. Then, slowly, he said, "It was never meant to wake. Not until the stars were ready. But the aliens came too early. Their attack triggered something buried deep. A signal. A countdown. Far below them, in the deepest tunnels where no human had ever walked, the ancient seals began to crack. One by one, symbols faded. Lights turned red. Metal that had not moved in a million years began to hum. In space, the wardens turned their heads. For the first time, they looked concerned. The alien high commander, orbiting in the last remaining warship, received a final scan report. The data made no sense. "A second core detected inside Earth," the system read. "Not natural, not stable, growing." He stared at the report, heart pounding. "Is Earth a shell?" he asked quietly. The answer came not from his crew, but from a voice in his mind. "Yes," he screamed. Back on Earth, children began to speak strange words in their sleep, words that no language on the planet could match. But they all meant the same thing: the sleeper dreams. Governments panicked. Secret agencies tried to stop the news from spreading, but it was too late. People shared stories, videos, drawings. All showed the same symbol, a circle within a circle, surrounded by stars. In the ocean, one of the great machines moved. For the first time, it dove deep, so deep no submarine could follow. When it reached the bottom, it opened a tunnel that had not been seen since before the moon formed. And through that tunnel, light began to rise. Not normal light, a pulsing, living light. It moved like water, breathed like wind, and sounded like music. It was beautiful, but wrong. It didn't belong to this age. It belonged to something older. Something was coming, and the wardens stepped back. One of them floated into Earth's upper orbit. It turned toward the stars and sent a signal so powerful it reached across galaxies in seconds. The message was not in language. It was in truth. And it said, "The inner one stirs. Interference has awakened it. Prepare." Many species received the signal. Some fell into silence. Others began to build weapons. A few ran. The High Commander knew the truth now. Earth was not just a seed. It was a prison, a cage for something that should never wake. And the galaxy, perhaps even the wardens themselves, had simply forgotten why the cage was built. Inside Earth, the seals broke one by one. The door that no one dared open began to turn. And then came the whisper. It echoed through every corner of the world, into every mind, every machine, every living cell. It was cold, slow, ancient, but it was awake. It said, "Who touched my dream?" And the stars themselves shivered. The world stood still. The moment the whisper echoed, "Who touched my dream?" Everything changed. Birds stopped flying, winds paused. Even time seemed slower, as if the planet itself was holding its breath. Across Earth, strange things began to happen. In cities, lights flickered in patterns. Buildings trembled, not from earthquakes, but from something deeper. In the forests, trees leaned toward the sky, glowing softly. Rivers flowed backward for seconds. And the sky? It darkened, though the sun still shined. People everywhere felt it. Fear. Not just fear of death or war, but the fear of something wrong. A fear that came from the bones, from the blood, from a place inside every living thing that remembered. The first time darkness came. In orbit, the remaining alien fleets watched the planet closely. Their scanners failed again and again. Machines overheated. AI units whispered strange codes. One commander, desperate for answers, sent a drone into Earth's upper atmosphere. It never returned. Then, the signal came again. This time, it was louder, stronger, uncontrolled. "I dreamed of peace. You brought war. I see now. The stars are still young." Below the Earth's surface, the great door opened fully. A tunnel of light stretched downward, so deep it seemed endless. From within it, something rose. Not fast, not loud, but massive. A shape not made of matter alone, a being of energy, thought, and memory. It didn't have a face, or arms, or eyes. Yet everyone who saw it felt seen. The wardens, floating across the planet, began to move again. But this time, they moved away. Slowly, respectfully. They were not running. They were bowing. One by one, the glowing protectors knelt in space. The humans watching this didn't know what it meant, but the alien commanders knew. This thing, the inner one, was not just old. It was first. Older than stars. Older than laws of nature. It had not been created. It was creation. And now, it was awake. Inside the secret mountain bunker, alarms screamed. The Earth's magnetic field was shifting. Volcanoes became active. Sea levels moved up and down in pulses, but none of it seemed natural. Dr. Kane, weak in his hospital bed, looked at the data with wide eyes. "It's not destroying Earth," he said. "It's reshaping it." General Lena asked, "Into what?" He looked at her. "Into what it was before. Before time." All around the planet, ancient places activated. Stones buried under deserts began to hum. Under the ice in Greenland, a pyramid of light rose. In the Mariana Trench, something opened like a flower, revealing a shining crystal heart. These were not human things, not alien either. They were the Inner One's tools, forgotten, buried, locked away. But now, they were online. In orbit, some alien fleets panicked. A few tried to escape, others launched emergency messages across the stars. But as soon as they turned away from Earth, their ships disappeared. Not exploded, not destroyed, just gone, as if erased. The High Commander watched in terror. "This is not war," he whispered. "This is judgment." Earth began to float, slightly off balance. The moon shook. Stars near the solar system blinked strangely. Time moved in waves. Past and future blurred. In some parts of the world, people saw shadows of events that hadn't happened yet, or remembered things they had never done. And still the Inner One rose higher. It spoke again. "The garden was young. I slept to let it grow. But now the roots are cut, the soil poisoned. Who dares awaken me before the bloom?" Across the planet, people fell to their knees, not from pain, but from weight. The weight of presence, of being seen by something that wasn't just powerful, but eternal. In the great hall of the Wardens, high above Earth's orbit, a final figure appeared. Larger than all the others. It spoke not in sound but in light. A warning to the galaxy. "You have broken the rule. The seal was not to be touched. You opened the gate. Now face the truth." And with that, Earth changed again. In space, a crack appeared behind the planet. A tear, not in the sky, but in reality. Through it, colors never seen before spilled out. Shapes twisted in impossible ways. It was not a portal. It was a mirror. And in that mirror, the galaxy saw itself, its violence, its pride, its smallness. The Inner One turned toward the tear. Its voice came one last time in this part of the story. "I will not destroy, I will remake." And with a wave of thought, it began. Earth was no longer just a planet. It pulsed with new energy. Mountains shifted like they were breathing. Oceans glowed with light from below. Cities stood still, their people silent, staring at the sky. They were no longer afraid, just awestruck. The world they lived on had become something else. The Inner One floated above the planet's surface, not touching it, but still connected to every part of it. It was not just a being, it was Earth itself, and it had made a decision. Remake, rebuild, restart, the words echoed across space, through minds, machines, even time itself. The tear behind Earth, the crack in reality, continued to grow. Inside it was not destruction, but possibility. A second chance. A space where old rules didn't exist, where war was forgotten, where time flowed differently. It was terrifying, but also beautiful. Alien commanders watched helplessly. Their warships were useless. Their weapons meant nothing. Their history, their pride, their fear. It was all too small. Some bowed their heads in surrender. Others tried to send final messages home, warning their people to stay away. But the Inner One was not focused on them anymore. It was focused on humanity. The people of Earth were not destroyed. Instead, they were changed. Not in body, but in thought, in understanding. Every child, every elder, every soldier and scientist began to feel something new. A connection. Not just to each other, but to everything. The animals, the trees, the sky, even the stars. They didn't become gods, but they saw what a god could see. Inside the bunker, Dr. Kane stood for the first time in weeks. He walked without pain, without fear. "We were never alone," he whispered. "We were never just human. We were part of something greater all along." General Lena nodded slowly. "Is this the end?" Kane looked out at the glowing world. "No, it's the beginning, the real beginning." The wardens, once protectors, now stood as students. They watched Earth like one watches a teacher. The Inner One had shown them something they had forgotten, that power is not for control. It is for growth. Across the galaxy, changes had already begun. On distant planets, storms calmed. Stars that were dying flared back to life. Species that had fought for centuries now stopped, as if a voice in their hearts reminded them why they existed. The message was clear. Do better. Be more. But it wasn't a command. It was an invitation. The crack in reality behind Earth stopped growing. It pulsed once, then faded into a spiral of stars, stars that didn't exist before. A whole new space, made from the dream of a planet. And in that moment, Earth rose, not just physically, but spiritually. A blue light surrounded it, brighter than a sun. It wasn't leaving its place in the solar system, but it was no longer just one world among many. It was now a source, a seed, a beginning. Some called it rebirth, some called it ascension, but no one truly understood what it meant, except the humans, because they could feel it. Inside their hearts, they now carried a spark of the Inner One, a whisper of its dream. Not all at once, not in full, but just enough to guide them forward. They remembered who they were, the last children of a quiet world, once ignored by the stars, now reborn as their light. And the galaxy, it would never be the same. A new age began, not ruled by force, but by understanding. Because Earth had shown them that true power is not in weapons or war, but in awakening. The final words of the Inner One were heard only by those who could truly listen. You feared what I would destroy, but I came only to remind you what you could become. And with that, the voice faded, but the dream remained. Earth floated quietly now. Still the same planet, but also something far more. Its people looked to the stars not with fear, but with hope. They had survived the war of 9,900 alien ships. They had awakened an ancient force. They had stood at the edge of reality, and they had changed the galaxy forever.